loads to lift. So again, the crawlers are expected to be able to support, and that's the plan for future years.
So I have a question. So everybody knows this. You say MLP, a mobile launch platform, right? So you take the shuttle out with the structure that it's attached to.
Yes.
And then you drop it off somewhere.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
The seating load. You see the corners here, these yellow mounts. It's actually what the MLP is sitting on over there.
Oh, okay.
It's a long time ago. There was discussions about whether or not they wanted to construct at the launch site or make it a mobile launch. Florida, for those of you that are local, know that if you put any kind of metal out here, it corrodes immediately. So the plan was to keep it to stack in a somewhat contained environment and then roll out. Several ideas came out of it. Well, I don't know if you've seen this area from the sky, but this is a swamp. So the easiest thing to do was just barge it out. But you can imagine how top heavy the shuttle would be. The Saturn V is even worse. Stability was an issue. So instead they went out of their way to build a crawler way, for want of a better term. It is a crawler way now, but at the time they didn't know that's what they were going to be. They were just building a road. They even thought about a rail idea, but with the loads that you were looking at in the turns, that was determined to be a bad idea. So that's how they came up with the treaded architecture. What's the question again?
Yeah, well, so...
Oh, okay, so
that's the actual launch platform.
So that is the actual launch platform. So what we would do is we come in, pick that up, take it out to and the same mounts that are here are located at a pad. So we'd set it down out there, and then we would get clear for launch. Then after launch, they'd wash it down, we'd go out and get it, and we bring it out to one of these two refurbishment areas over here, and they would do corrosion work, anything that was damaged, any kind of painting that needed to be done. And for the most part, we have 3 mobile launch MLPs. We had MLPs for the shuttle program. So there was a nice little dance going on between the 2 crawlers and the 3 MLPs, between launch, refurbishment, and stacking. The big picture, the fantasy one that we had that everybody wanted to see was rollout. But for each process flow, essentially every 45 to 60 days for a launch for a shuttle, a crawler had about 11 to 12 individual moves, be it an empty crawler move, an empty mobile launcher move, or a rollout. So during the 6 to 7 launch per year shuttle program, every week crawlers were moving all over the place out here.
So how much can that go up and down?
It's a 6-foot translation. It can go down to 20 feet from ground to top and then up to 26. It's actually up to one of the highest heights now because of all the mod work we had going on. We had to get up underneath. Some of the other things that we've done, I could go into. There's about 45 projects that we completed in the span of a year. They've done a lot of work, and one of them included the muffler redesign. We put in those new engines I mentioned before, and they've actually dualed the mufflers. I guess we've got dual tips on both mufflers. For the last 10 years of the shuttle program, we only had that on the propel engines. Now that we've got the new onboard power engines, we've got the 4. But we had to get up underneath to be able to put those mufflers up. As you can see, if you're looking straight down here, the exhaust goes straight into that muffler. It's the size of a car, but that is one of the mufflers, and we've got 4 across. So we have it actually up to its highest height now, so we can get underneath to pull off equipment, put equipment on. What else are we looking at here? On the stairs here, I mentioned we've got all our power interfaces, and we provide personnel access to the mobile launchers while it's moving. This was the old power interface stairs. This is actually looking to be the same for the new program, but on the other end, anybody that wanted to get on the mobile launcher had to get on us first. This again goes back to that 1 mile an hour. There's a lot going on with a mile an hour. To get on the crawler, you actually have to walk between the treads. So you're actually walking at 6 million pounds of crawler coming at you. So again, it's a mile an hour, but there's a lot going on with a mile an hour. And if you slip on, by the way, you're walking on rocks, it could be a bad day. So it's not. There's a lot going on at a mile an hour. I could talk about these things all day. Like I said, I've been here 12 years. For the first 10 years, I was a project manager on parts obsolescence, life extension type projects that we had. A lot of that was just refurbishing a lot of old equipment. Once the Ares program, Constellation, and now SLS came about, we saw that this downtime from an operations perspective was a perfect opportunity to get all this work done. So that's why I mentioned there's been 45 projects done in the last year, and that's because we were trying to get it done in this window. So the majority of those projects are complete. The 2 that are outliers are those jacking cylinders, and I mentioned we were going to crib up a crawler here shortly, is that work, because we had to get a lot of big equipment manufactured. So we had to wait on that before we could implement those.
So you're expecting things to go pretty quickly?
Well, we are expecting things to go pretty quickly, but it's also been a crawler motto to be ready with projects when people come with money, because you never know when that's going to happen. So we had a lot of plans in place before we even knew what the new program was going to be. So when they said, you know, what do you expect to be needed, we said, well, you know, here's 45 projects that we know we're going to have to do. I'm sure there's going to be more in the future as well, but we are actually on the leading edge of implementing for SLS, which is also interesting because in the past we've always been on the back end, just by design, because the program will come up with a rocket design. They'll have requirements for purge air, how much cubic feet do you need flowing through where. Then that will be translated to the power folks. And okay, so the power is coming from the mobile launcher in some cases. So they'll have to put the power requirements on there. But oh, by the way, when we're rolling out, we have to supply that power. So it takes all these other guys coming up with their design requirements before we get it. And it means that we're always behind the gun, 8 ball at the end of it. Now we're on the leading edge. So instead of them telling us what they need, we say, well, we can do this. That's beneficial to us and the program and the agency, because now we have something that we can present to potential customers. We can tell them, we can give you this. As long as you can fit within this envelope, we're good to go. That's why that 50% increased load carrying capacity is that important. It may not be that SLS gets that high once the mobile launcher gets all its equipment installed, but we've still got that capability, that margin in there should SpaceX want to borrow an MLP, or Boeing or Northrop, or somebody else want to come out here and use the facilities. We can still tell them that, okay, well, the crawler can, as long as you're within this fairly large envelope, as far as I'm concerned, we can help you. So it's a selling point to customers, which is not something NASA has done a lot of.
Unusual for government.
We've never been marketing.